a 35-year-old Casio out of the closet that works, sort of. It works enough for cheesy organ, which is what I need it for. The other thing I have here is my electric fountain dulcimer. And when I use the slide on it, add some effects. You get a lot of spooky sounds, which is fun. A basic guitar for some basic guitar things, but these two things are really the sound.
And can you tell me, have you been working with this crew for a while, or you know, are you the music person?
Well, I know people here from different factions. I'm a member of the Mad Horse Theater Company as a resident sound designer and executive director, so I know Christine and Barb very well. And I have a show on MPG, so I know the MPG people quite well. And it's kind of fun to have everybody together in one place. But the musicians that I work with aren't a part of this tonight. So.
And you said sound designer, which I like, as opposed to house musician. Can you talk a little bit about sound design?
Well, when I do a lot of theatrical sound design, which can range from composing for a show and either playing live or recording it ahead of time. But most of the time, it doesn't include that. Most of the time, it's a combination of pre-recorded pieces of music that I've chosen for the show, sound effects, either that I build or find in places depending on what's needed and how much there is needed, and then putting all of those things together and matching up with the light cues and the actors' actions and stuff like that.
And so it must be wonderful to just, say, start with a new script and then begin creating.
Yeah, I always like hearing how other people are seeing things into the script and what the director's vision is, because I have a really hard time, what I want to say, envisioning what a play is going to be like in the end from reading a script. And so oftentimes I'll read a script and go, okay, well, I have a basic idea, and then as progress goes on, as the rehearsals go on, as other discussions go on, sometimes I'll go in a completely different direction than what I thought originally. And the sound design is really the very last thing that gets put together and gets finalized, as well as the lighting cues. Those two things, they come together a week before the show opens, because that's really the only time you have to work with the other designers, is in those last few days. So it's always a crunch, and it's always kind of a love-hate sort of thing, because you know, you've been working on stuff in a vacuum, sort of, and then you bring it in and try to put it all together, and sometimes it's very hard to put it all together, sometimes it goes pretty easily, but it's that back and forth, and sometimes you think you're getting nowhere, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's nothing like a deadline, and the night the show opens, it's got to be figured out. So a lot of times I'll go in with cues that aren't long enough, or that aren't short enough, or that are placeholders that aren't really quite the right kind of music, or the sound sounds fine under my headphones and it sounds terrible in the theater. And that is always a consideration. And then sometimes you're fighting with the stage directions and the script from the author. It's like, yeah, well, it'd be really nice to have the sound of ocean through 12 pages of script, but I don't think that's going to be a good idea. But it depends on the room. Sometimes it works. Most of the time it doesn't.
And Barb, Barbara, can you describe tonight? I mean, you know, this is Halloween night, and we're all here, and we're waiting to...
Yeah, we're kind of shut off from the rest of the world outside at the moment, having gone through the first time we're all together in the same place with all the technical stuff set up. And, you know, again, you can kind of read through a script and go, yeah, I can do that here and I do that there. And I get up here and I go, yeah, but I can't change instruments that fast, you know, or I have to turn the page there. So how am I going to keep the music going while I have to turn the page? Because I don't have time at this point to set up the script so that there are sections where it could be 2 or 3, 4 pages laid out. If this ended up being a show that was done over and over again, those are the things that I would work on and smooth out. So tonight we just kind of see how it goes and do the best we can and make our mistakes sound purposeful.